Hello everyone, welcome back to English grammar class. This lesson is about direct and indirect speech part 2, interrogative sentences. Any sentence which asks question is known as interrogative sentence. We are going to learn how to change the direct speech of interrogative sentence into indirect speech of interrogative sentences. Before we change the direct speech into indirect speech, we need to know the following rules. The reporting verb is changed to ask or inquire of in the present tense and ask or inquire of in the past tense. The reporting verb and reported speech are joined by if or whether instead of the that. When question begins with auxiliary verbs like is, am, are, was, where, do, does, did, can, may, will, shall, could, would, etc. When question begins with interrogative words like who, what, when, where, how far, how many, why, etc., we have to join the reporting verb and reported speech by using the same interrogative words who, what, when, where, etc. instead of that. The interrogative form sentences are changed into assertive form sentences in the indirect speech. That is, question mark will be removed and replaced with full stop, or the comma and inverted commas will disappear too. We are going to apply the following formulas again as we did in part 1, including the following words when we change into indirect speech. Now let us learn how to change direct speech into indirect speech of interrogative sentences through some examples. As we all know, there are two types of interrogative sentences. The first one is question which begins with auxiliary verb, and the other is question which begins with interrogative words. We should also know that the interrogative sentence in the direct speech will be changed into assertive sentence, that is non-question form, in the indirect speech. Let us begin. He said to her, "Are you a student?" Here the reporting verb is said to, which is past tense, and when we change into indirect speech, it will become ask because it asks question. And the reported speech is a question which begins with auxiliary verb ARER. So we can join the reporting verb and reported speech by using the word if or whether in indirect speech. Let us change into indirect speech. He asked her if. Here you belongs to the person her. It is objective form and the subjective form is she. We have to take down you first, which is converted into she, because we are going to change the question form into assertive sentence, which is non-question form. So we have to begin with the subject first, followed by the verb are. Here our past form is where, but we cannot use where here because she is third person singular and we have to use was instead of where. She was take down a student. He asked her if she was a student. The next question is, the boy said to the old man, "May I help you?" We have to change said to into ask again, and the reported speech begins with auxiliary verb may. We can follow the same process as we did in the first question. Now let's change into indirect speech. The boy asked the old man if, and I belongs to the old man, which is male gender, so we'll change into he. May will change into Mike, and help, we don't need to change help again. Once may is changed into might, no need to change help him. The boy asked the old man if he might help him. The next question is, the girl said to him, "Do you want to read this book?" Here, when we change into indirect speech, say to will become ask again. And the reported speech is another question form which begins with auxiliary verb, that is do, or do. So we can join the verb and reported speech by using if again. Let's change into indirect speech. The girl asked him if. Here you belongs to him and the objective form him will change into subjective form he. So him will become he. And the past tense of want is wanted. He wanted to read. This will change into that book. The girl asked him if he wanted to read that book. Next, he said to me, will you go to Nepal tomorrow? Here say to is the reporting verb. We will change again into ask in indirect speech. And the reported speech is another question form which begins with auxiliary verb will. So we can use if to connect the reporting verb and reported speech in indirect speech. Now let's change into indirect speech. He asked me if you belongs to me, or you stands for me. Me is objective form. We will change into subjective form I. And will past form is would. Go to Nepal, and tomorrow will change into the next day. He asked me if I would go to Nepal the next day. Let's move to the next question. I said to the little girl, what is your name? This question is different from the previous questions because the reported speech is the question which begins with interrogative words, no more auxiliary verbs, so we cannot use if or whether again. Instead, we have to use the same interrogative word, that is WH80 what, to join the reporting verb and the reported speech in indirect speech. Now let's change into indirect speech. I ask the little girl, take down what, and we have to take down your name first. Here your name belongs to the little girl's name, so we'll change into her name. And is past tense is was. I asked the little girl what her name was. The next question is, he said to me, when do you visit the school? We will change the reporting verb said to into ask in indirect speech. And the reported speech here is another question form which begins with interrogative word, that is when. So we can use the word when to join the reporting verb and reported speech in indirect speech. Let us change into indirect speech. He asked me, take down when, and here you belongs to me. So me is the objective form, will change again into subjective form I. And the past tense of visit is visited the school. He asked me when I visited the school. The next question is, the teacher said to the students, when did you visit Moirang? Here the reported speech is another question form which begins with the word when, that is interrogative word. So we can use the word when to join the reporting verb and the reported speech in the indirect speech. Let's change into indirect speech. The teacher asked the students, take down when, and here you belongs to the students, so we can change into they. And the verb did visit is more or less the same with visited, which is simple past tense. According to the formula, we will change simple past into past perfect in indirect speech. So it will become had visited Moirang. The teacher asked the students when they had visited Moirang. The next question is, the teacher said to the students, why don't you move out now? In this sentence, the reported speech is another question form which begins with interrogative word why. So we can use the same interrogative word why to join the reporting verb and the reported speech in indirect speech. Let us change into indirect speech. The teacher asked the students, take down why. You belongs to the student, so we'll replace with they, why they, and do not, past form is did not, and take down move. We don't need to change move again because we already changed do not into did not. Move out, now we'll change into then. The teacher asked the students why they did not move out then. We have learned about the direct and indirect speech of interrogative sentences, and this is the end of the lesson. Thank you very much for watching. See you again. Bye.